The prophecy of zero. Do you realize where you stand right now? You are not just at the end of a year, you are on the edge of history. 2026 is not merely a number. If you add the digits 2, 0, 2, 6, they become 10, which returns to 0. This is the law of the universe. Everything must return to nothing before it can be truly reborn. Zero is not empty, it is infinite. But listen closely: to pour new wine, you must first empty your cup. Are you holding on to old pain? Today, I will show you how to empty your vessel and invite a miracle. Are you ready to be reborn? Chapter 1: The Great Purge of 2025. Let us begin by looking back at the path you have just walked. The year 2025. How would you describe this year in a single word? For many of you, I suspect the word might be chaos, loss, or perhaps confusion. You are not alone in feeling this way. In fact, if you felt that the ground beneath your feet was crumbling this past year, it is proof that you are perfectly in sync with the rhythm of the universe. Because 2025 was, by design, a year of completion and relentless purification. Do you remember the plans you made at the beginning of last year? The relationships you thought would last forever? The jobs or roles you believed defined who you were? How many of those remain standing today, exactly as they were? I imagine many of those pillars have collapsed, or at least developed deep cracks. It hurts, doesn't it, to watch what you built with your own hands dissolve into sand. But I need you to understand something crucial right now. This pain is not a punishment. It is a necessary mechanics of history. Let me take you back in time to a moment that mirrors exactly where we stand today. The year was 1921, the Taisho era in Japan. There was a man named Onisaburo Deguchi. He was a giant of a man, a spiritual leader who had built a movement that swept across the nation. His organization, Umoto, was thriving. People from all walks of life, farmers, intellectuals, naval officers, flocked to him. They believed he held the answers to a world that was rapidly changing after the First World War. It seemed as though nothing could stop his momentum. He was at the pinnacle of his influence. And then, in an instant, the sky fell. It was February 12, 1921. The police surrounded the headquarters. It was the crackdown known as the First Umoto Incident. Onisaburo was arrested. He was accused of disrespecting the state, of trying to change the very fabric of society. The media, which had once been curious, turned into a pack of wolves, labeling him a traitor and a monster. The sanctuary he had built was raided. His reputation was shredded. Everything he had constructed over decades seemed to be dismantled in a matter of days. Imagine standing in his shoes for a moment. One day, you are surrounded by thousands of supporters. The next, you are sitting in a cold, damp interrogation room, stripped of your dignity. You might ask yourself, why is this happening? Did I do something wrong? Was my vision a lie? This is the truth of suffering. It is the undeniable reality that all created things must eventually break. It is the chaos that ensues when an old era clashes violently with the birth of a new one. But here is the secret that Onisaburo knew, and that you must learn now. This destruction was not the end. It was the signal that the container had become too small for the content. When a seed begins to sprout, it must destroy its own shell. The shell protects the life inside, but if the shell refuses to break, the life inside will suffocate and die. The year 2025 was the breaking of your shell. The systems of society, the economy, and perhaps your personal life reached their expiration date. The universe does not care about your comfort, it cares about your growth. And sometimes, the only way to facilitate growth is to forcefully remove the structures that are holding you back. Look at the world around you during 2025. We saw the exposure of lies that had been hidden for decades. We saw the collapse of institutions we thought were invincible. We saw the shifting of values where what was once considered good became bad, and vice versa. This is what Onisaburo called Tadake, the Great Renovation. Before you can build a magnificent new palace, you must first demolish the rotting wooden hut that stands on the plot. The demolition is noisy, it is dusty, it is dangerous, and it is terrifying if you are still trying to live inside the hut while the wrecking ball is swinging. So, I ask you now, what did you lose in 2025? Was it a job, a partnership, or perhaps, was it a version of yourself that you were clinging to? It is okay to grieve that loss. Feel the weight of it. Do not run away from the sadness or the anger. These feelings are the debris of the demolition. But do not mistake this debris for your future. The fact that you are listening to this right now means you survived the demolition. You are standing amidst the rubble, yes, but the sky above you is open. The roof is gone, which means for the first time in a long time, you can see the stars clearly. In 1921, when Onisaburo was thrown into prison, did he give up? Did he decide that his life was over? No, it was precisely during this time of suppression, while out on bail, that he began to dictate his greatest work. The Reiki Monogatari, the tales of the spirit world. The destruction of his physical organization forced his energy to explode into a different dimension, the dimension of stories and spirit. If the suppression hadn't happened, he might have remained just a leader of a religious group. But because he lost his worldly footing, he became a universal storyteller. The same logic applies to you. The Purge of 2025 has cleared the stage. It has removed the distractions. It has taken away the crutches you didn't even realize you were using. You might feel naked and vulnerable right now. That is good, because only the naked soul can truly feel the wind of the new era. The year 2026, the year of zero, requires you to be empty. If 2025 hadn't happened, if you hadn't gone through that confusion and pain, your cup would still be full of stale water. You would have no room for the miracle that is about to be poured. So, look at the chaos of the past year not as a tragedy, but as a fierce grace. It was the universe doing the hard work for you. It was tearing down the walls so you could eventually walk free. But the story doesn't end with just tearing down walls. Sometimes, the universe doesn't just take your roof, it uses dynamite on the foundation. And that brings us to an even deeper level of zero. Are you ready to see how deep the rabbit hole goes? Because what happened next to Onisaburo makes the incident of 1921 look like a gentle warning. Let us move forward, into the heart of the explosion. Chapter 2: The Dynamite of Destiny. If the year 1921 was a storm that tore off the roof, what came next was an earthquake that swallowed the entire house. I told you earlier that the universe removes what is no longer needed. But sometimes, it doesn't just gently remove it. Sometimes, it obliterates it. Imagine for a moment that you have rebuilt your life after a crisis. You worked harder than ever. You learned from your mistakes. And you succeeded. In fact, you succeeded so much that you are now 10 times bigger, stronger, and more influential than you were before. This is exactly what happened to Onisaburo after the first incident. By 1934, his movement had grown into a massive organization called the Showa Shinseikai. It had millions of supporters. Patriots, military officers, and politicians were bowing their heads to him. He built a sanctuary in Kamioka that was so magnificent it was considered a modern wonder. He must have felt invincible. He must have thought, finally, the trials are over. Now, the golden age begins. Have you ever felt that way? Just when you think you are safe. Just when you think you have finally made it. Life has a way of reminding you who is really in charge. It was the dawn of December 8, 1935. The air was freezing, biting into the skin. Without warning, hundreds of police officers raided the grounds. But this time, it wasn't just an arrest. It was an eradication. The government had decided that this movement was too powerful, too dangerous. They didn't just want to stop it, they wanted to erase it from the face of the earth. Onisaburo and his wife, Sumiko, were dragged away. But the true horror, the true zero, happened to the sanctuary itself. Do you know what the authorities did? They brought in dynamite, not 1 or 2 sticks. They used 1,500 sticks of dynamite. Day after day, the sound of explosions echoed through the mountains. Boom, boom, boom. The magnificent Moroku Den, the sanctuary built with the sweat and tears of thousands of believers, was blown to pieces. They didn't stop there. They burned the wood. They crushed the stones. They wanted to make sure that not a single trace remained. They even arrested the stone lanterns in the garden. It sounds like a bad joke, but it is history. Imagine being a follower standing at the foot of that mountain, watching the smoke rise, hearing the destruction of everything you believed in. Your holy place, your community, your hope, turned into a pile of gray dust. This is not just loss. This is annihilation. Perhaps you have never had your house blown up by dynamite. But I ask you, have you ever experienced a dynamite moment in your soul? The moment when the doctor says, it's cancer. The moment when your partner says, I don't love you anymore, and walks out the door. The moment when the company you gave 20 years of your life to hands you a cardboard box and escorts you out of the building. That ringing in your ears. That sudden, suffocating silence. That is the sound of your world being dynamited. In prison, the reality was grim. This wasn't a short stay. Onisaburo was locked away for 6 years and 8 months. He was subjected to harsh interrogation. Torture was common for his followers, some even died in custody. He was stripped of his clothes, his name, his dignity. He was no longer the great teacher. He was just an old man in a cold cell, labeled a traitor by the entire nation. Everything was gone. His wealth, confiscated. His art, destroyed. His reputation, ruined. His friends, scattered or imprisoned. If you look at this from a human perspective, it is the ultimate tragedy. It is the definition of total failure. Most people would break. Most people would curse God and die of despair. Why me? I did everything right. I helped people. Why is this happening? But listen to me closely. This is where the magic of zero lies. When everything is taken away. When the dynamite has cleared the ground, what is left? When you are stripped of your title, your money, your relationships, and your pride. What remains? You remain. The naked, raw, indestructible core of your soul remains. Onisaburo later said something shocking about this incident. He didn't say, those evil government officials ruined my life. No, he said, I am grateful. The universe cleaned everything up for me. He realized that the organization had become too big, too worldly, too full of ego and dust. The dynamite wasn't an act of evil, it was an act of extreme purification. God, or the universe, loved him too much to let him continue on a path that had strayed from the essence. So, it forced him back to zero. You are standing at the gate of 2026. You may be fearing what you might lose. You may be clinging desperately to things that are already dead. Let go. Do not fear the dynamite. Because the structure that is being destroyed was never the real you anyway. It was just a shell. It was just a building. And buildings can be rebuilt. But the spirit is eternal. The second Umoto incident teaches us a terrifying but beautiful truth. You can lose everything and still be whole. In fact, you might only find your true wholeness after you have lost everything. The dynamite clears the space. And in that vast, empty, smoking crater, infinite potential is born. But why? Why does it have to be so painful? Why do we accumulate this dust that requires such violent cleaning? Why do we cling to things that hurt us? To understand that, we must look at the source of the problem. We must look at the dust on the soul. This is the truth of origin. And that is where we are going next. Chapter 3: The Dust on the Soul. Why? This is the question that haunts us in the dark. Why did the dynamite have to explode? Why did I have to lose my job? Why did that relationship end so brutally? If the universe is supposed to be full of love, why is it so violent? The answer lies in a concept that is as old as the mountains of Japan. It is the concept of dust. In many Western philosophies, we talk about sin. Sin feels heavy, like a crime that stains you forever. But in the ancient wisdom that Onisaburo taught, the problem is not sin. It is dust. Think about the dust in your house. It is not evil. It is not malicious. It just settles. It falls silently, day by day, hour by hour. If you don't wipe your table for a week, a thin layer forms. If you don't wipe it for a year, you can't see the table anymore. If you don't wipe it for 10 years, the dust becomes hard as rock, indistinguishable from the furniture itself. The human soul is exactly the same. We are born as polished, pristine mirrors. But as we live, dust settles on us. The dust of selfishness. The dust of stubbornness. The dust of jealousy. The dust of fear. And perhaps the most dangerous dust of all, the dust of I know better. Let me tell you a secret about Onisaburo Deguchi. He wasn't born a holy master sitting on a cloud. Before he became a spiritual giant, he was a young man named Kisaburo. And young Kisaburo was, well, he was a bit like you and me. He was ambitious. He was hungry. He wanted to be somebody. He looked at the poverty of his family and said, I am going to change this. I am going to be rich. So, what did he do? He tried everything to make a quick fortune. He went into the mountains to mine for manganese. He thought he would strike it rich and become a mining tycoon. He failed. He tried to manufacture ramune soda, hopping on a new trend. He failed. He started a dairy business, the Onyo Sainukan, selling milk. He worked hard. He had talent. He was charismatic. For a moment, it seemed to work. But deep down, what was driving him? Was it a desire to save the world? No, it was the desire to prove himself. It was the desire for status. It was ego. His soul was covered in the dust of ambition. He was running on the fuel of, I want, I need, I deserve. And because the universe had a greater plan for him, it wouldn't let him succeed on that small, dusty path. Every time he tried to build a castle on the foundation of ego, the universe kicked it over. Not because it hated him, but because it loved him too much to let him become just another rich dairy farmer. Now, I want you to look at your own life. Look at the year 2025. Look at the things that fell apart. Be honest with me, and more importantly, be honest with yourself. Were those things built on a clean foundation? Or were they covered in dust? That job you lost, were you staying there because you loved the work, or because you were afraid of the unknown? That is the dust of fear. That relationship that ended, was it based on mutual growth, or were you clinging to it because you didn't want to be alone? That is the dust of attachment. The stress you felt, was it because you were trying to control things that are not yours to control? That is the dust of arrogance. You see, we accumulate this dust without noticing. We think, I'm just being prudent, or I'm just working hard. But layer by layer, the mirror of our soul gets clouded. We can no longer reflect the light of the universe. We become blind, and when we are blind, we walk into walls. We make bad decisions. We hurt people. We get lost. This is the cause of suffering. The suffering doesn't come from the outside world. The dynamite doesn't just appear out of nowhere. The dynamite is attracted to the dust. When the dust gets too thick, the universe says, okay, a gentle breeze isn't enough to clean this anymore. We need a pressure washer. We need an explosion. The Great Purge of 2025 was simply the universe cleaning your mirror because you forgot to do it yourself. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? To think that we are responsible for our own chaos. But there is incredible hope in this truth. Because if the chaos comes from our dust, then we have the power to stop it. We don't need to fight the government. We don't need to fight the economy. We just need to wipe the mirror. But here is the problem. We live in a world that loves dust. We live in a world that throws dust in our faces 24 hours a day. We are addicted to the noise that creates the dust. Onisaburo realized this when he was young. He realized that as long as he was chasing money and approval, he was just gathering more dirt. So, he did something radical. Something terrifying. He decided to step out of the noise. He decided to face the silence. Have you ever tried to be completely silent? No phone, no TV, no music, no talking, just you and your thoughts. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? It's almost painful. Why? Because in the silence, you can see the dust. And most of us would rather stay blind than see how dirty our room has become. But Onisaburo didn't have a choice. He was pushed to the edge. And to find the 0 point, to find the true power that was hiding beneath the ego, he had to go to a place where the dust couldn't hide. He went to the mountain. He went into the cave. And what he found there is the key to unlocking your 2026. Are you brave enough to look at your dust? Are you brave enough to ask, what am I holding on to that is rotting my soul? Because once you identify the dust, you are halfway to the miracle. The other half is learning how to listen to the voice that has been screaming at you from beneath the piles of dirt. Let us leave the noisy world of business and ambition. Let us climb the mountain. Let us enter the cave of silence. Chapter 4: The Illusion of Noise. Silence is dangerous. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable it is to sit in a room with absolutely no sound? When the television is off, when the phone is silent, when there is no traffic outside, a strange anxiety starts to creep in. We reach for our smartphones. We turn on the radio. We check our notifications. Why? What are we running from? We are running from the voice. Not the voice of others, but the voice of our own soul. We live in a world that is addicted to noise. In 2025, think about how much information you consumed. News about wars, scandals, economic crashes, celebrity gossip, viral videos. It flows into our eyes and ears like a relentless river of mud. This noise acts like a thick fog. It blinds us. It confuses us. It makes us forget who we are and why we are here. We think this noise is reality, but it is actually the greatest illusion of all. Let me take you back to March of 1898. Before Onisaburo became the man who could shake the foundations of the government, he was a man on the verge of a breakdown. He was 27 years old. His business had failed. His father had just died. His body was weak. He was desperate. He realized that the noise of society, the chase for money, the expectations of his family, the gossip of the town, had led him nowhere but to misery. He needed to hear the truth, and he knew he couldn't hear it in the village. So, he disappeared. He walked into the deep forests of Kyoto and climbed Mount Takakuma. He found a small, damp cave, and he sat there for 1 week. No food, no water, no sleep, and most importantly, no human voices. Imagine that darkness. It wasn't a peaceful retreat. It was a battlefield. When the external noise stops, the internal noise explodes. Onisaburo later described this experience as a descent into hell. He said he was attacked by demons, monstrous figures, terrifying beasts, voices screaming in his ears. You are a failure. You will die here. Go back to the village, you fool. He felt physical pain. He felt terror that froze his blood. But ask yourself, were those demons real physical monsters? Or were they the manifestations of his own dust? The demons were his fears. The beasts were his insecurities. The screaming voices were the echoes of society that had been programmed into his brain. This is the truth of origin regarding our confusion. The enemy is not out there. The enemy is the noise we carry inside. In the modern world, we don't have to go to a cave to meet these demons. We carry them in our pockets. Social media is the modern cave of demons. Look at how successful they are compared to you. Look at how beautiful she is compared to you. Be afraid of the future. Buy this to be happy. These are the voices that torment us, keeping us small, keeping us scared, keeping us distracted. They are the evil spirits of the 21st century. But Onisaburo did not run. He sat in that freezing cave, starving and hallucinating, and he faced them. He looked the demons in the eye and refused to move. He realized that they were illusions. They had no power over him unless he gave it to them. And then, it happened. After days of terror, the noise suddenly stopped. The demons vanished. The cave became filled with a light that didn't come from the sun. And he heard it. The voice, clear, resonant, unmistakable. It wasn't a voice telling him to make money. It was a voice telling him the structure of the universe. It was a voice telling him his mission to heal the world. He walked out of that cave a completely different human being. He looked the same, but his eyes had changed. He had tapped into the source. He had found the signal amidst the static. This brings us to you, standing on the edge of 2026. You are asking for a new beginning. You want to change your life. But how can you hear the instructions for your new life if your ears are still full of the old world's noise? How can you receive the new broadcast if your radio is jammed on the old frequency? 2026 is the year of zero. Zero is the number of silence. It is the empty circle. To harness the power of this year, you must find your own cave. I am not saying you need to starve yourself on a mountain for a week. But you must create pockets of silence in your life. You must have the courage to turn off the phone, to sit in a chair, close your eyes, and just be. At first, it will be scary. Your mind will scream at you to do something. Your anxieties will surface like monsters. But if you stay, if you breathe, if you wait, the noise will settle, the dust will fall to the floor, and you will hear the voice of your own destiny. Onisaburo found his mission in the silence. He found the strength to withstand the government, the prisons, and the dynamite, because he was anchored in that silence. The world could blow up his shrines, but it could never blow up the connection he found in that cave. But the story doesn't end with him sitting peacefully on a mountain. Finding the voice is one thing. Testing it is another. The universe said to him, "So, you found your truth? You think you are ready? Good. Let's see if you can hold onto that truth when there is a gun pointed at your head." Because the greatest test of Onisaburo's life, and the greatest lesson for us about the power of zero, was waiting for him not in Japan, but in the vast, dangerous plains of Mongolia. Are you ready to face the firing squad? Chapter 5: The Edge of the Cliff. So, you have found the silence. You have begun to see the dust on your soul. But seeing the truth and living the truth are two very different things. It is easy to be a saint when you are sitting comfortably in a quiet room. But can you be a saint when the world is screaming for your blood? Can you maintain that zero state when you are staring into the barrel of a gun? This brings us to the most dramatic, cinematic, and frankly insane chapter of Onisaburo's life. The year was 1924. Onisaburo was out on bail, technically still a criminal in the eyes of the Japanese government. Most people in his position would keep their heads down. They would stay quiet, apologize, and try to fade into the background. But Onisaburo, he did the exact opposite. He looked at the map of the world and pointed to the vast, wild plains of Mongolia. He said, "I am going to build a kingdom of peace there." Think about the absurdity of this. He took just a handful of men, including the legendary martial artist Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of Aikido, and crossed the sea. They had no army. They had no government backing. They were walking into a war zone. China was in chaos, ruled by ruthless warlords. But Onisaburo didn't care. He wasn't moving by logic anymore. He was moving by intuition. He joined forces with a bandit leader named Lu Zhongkui. He rode on horseback across the desert, unarmed, claiming he was a spiritual savior. And for a moment, it worked. But reality has a way of catching up with dreamers. In June of 1924, near a place called Praintala, modern-day Tongliao, their luck ran out. The army of the warlord Zhang Zuolin surrounded them. There was no escape. Onisaburo and his small group were captured. They were thrown into a pigsty, tied up with chains. The verdict was swift and brutal death by firing squad. Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine this scene. It is dawn. The Mongolian sun is rising, casting long shadows across the dry earth. The air smells of dust and fear. You are dragged out into an open field. Your hands are tied behind your back. In front of you stands a row of soldiers, their rifles loaded. You hear the sound of the safety catches clicking off. Click, click, click. This is it. This is the end. There is no lawyer to save you. No miracle cure. No, do-over. In 10 seconds, your physical existence will cease. What would you do? Would you beg for your life? Would you cry? Would you scream in terror? Most of us would, because we are terrified of losing ourselves. We are terrified of becoming nothing. But look at Onisaburo in that moment. Witnesses say he was calm. He wasn't trembling. In fact, he was reciting a poem. His death poem, or Jisei no Ku. He looked at the rising sun and whispered, "Though my body may rot in the fields of Mongolia, the spirit of a Japanese man shall never fall." He had accepted his death, and in that acceptance, he found the ultimate freedom. He reached the true, zero point. He realized that even if the bullet pierced his heart, his spirit, the real him, was untouchable. He let go of everything. He let go of his mission. He let go of his family. He let go of his name. He became empty. And then, the miracle happened. Just as the soldiers were raising their rifles to fire, just as the fingers were tightening on the triggers, a car came speeding across the horizon, kicking up a cloud of dust. "Stop, hold fire." It was a Japanese consular official. Through a series of impossible coincidences, the execution was halted at the very last second of the very last minute. The bullets were never fired. Onisaburo didn't die. He returned to Japan not as a corpse, but as a legend. Why am I telling you this story? Because 2026 is your Praintala. No, I don't mean you are going to be executed by a warlord. But metaphorically, you are standing in front of a firing squad. The old world is pointing a gun at you. The economy, the technology AI, the changing climate, they are threatening to kill the old you. The you that relies on the old ways of working. The you that clings to the old identity. That version of you is about to die. And you are terrified. You are trying to negotiate with the soldiers. Please, don't change. I want things to stay the same. I want 2019 back. But begging won't save you. Negotiating won't save you. The only thing that will save you is what saved Onisaburo. Total surrender. You must look at the death of your old life and say, okay. Take it. You must be willing to let the old you die in the fields of 2025. Because here is the paradox of the universe. Only when you are ready to die, do you truly begin to live. Only when you stop clinging to the cliff edge and let go, do you realize you can fly. Onisaburo survived because he didn't fear the zero. He became the zero. And because he was zero, the bullets couldn't find a target. The universe saw that he was empty, so it decided to keep him around to fill him with something new. The moment you stop fighting the change, the moment you say, I am ready to lose everything to find my truth, that is the moment the car comes speeding over the horizon. That is the moment the miracle happens. The bridge to the new world is not built of bricks or money. It is built of surrender. You have walked through the fire of 2025. Now you stand at the edge of the cliff. The firing squad of destiny is waiting. Do not tremble. Stand tall. Take a deep breath, and let us step together into the void. Because what you find on the other side of that bullet is not death. It is a power so vast, so infinite, that it will make everything you lost seem like a cheap toy. Are you ready to see what lies beyond the zero? Chapter 6: The Power of Zero. Silence. Absolute, profound silence. We have survived the firing squad in Mongolia. But the story of Onisaburo does not end with a triumphant return to glory. Instead, it leads to a small, cold room. A prison cell. After the second crackdown in 1935, Onisaburo spent nearly 7 years in confinement. Imagine it. He was a man who loved art, who loved color, who loved people. He was a man of boundless energy. And now, he was locked in a gray box. No canvas to paint on. No followers to preach to. No mountains to climb. For 7 years, his world was reduced to 4 walls and a small window. Most people would go mad. Most people would be crushed by the sheer weight of nothingness. But here lies the great paradox. It was in this tiny box of nothingness that Onisaburo found the universe. He later recalled those years not with bitterness, but with a strange fondness. He said, "Physical freedom was taken, but spiritual freedom became infinite." When you have nothing to distract you, when you have no possessions to worry about, when you have no status to uphold, your mind is free to travel to the ends of the galaxy. He realized that the void was not empty. It was full. Let us talk about the number 0. Look at the year ahead of you, 2026. If you add the numbers, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, you get 10. And in the principles of numerology, 10 returns to the origin. It returns to 0. Many of you look at the word 0 and feel fear. In our modern society, 0 means failure. 0 money in the bank. 0 friends. 0 prospects. We are taught to accumulate, to add, to multiply. 1 is better than 0. 100 is better than 1. But this is a lie. Think about mathematics for a moment. When mathematical geniuses discovered the concept of 0, it wasn't just a number. It was a revolution. Without 0, no other number holds meaning. 0 is the container that holds the value of everything else. 0 is the womb of creation. Before the universe was born, what was there? Nothing. But within that nothing lay the potential for everything. Stars, planets, oceans, you, me, we all came from 0. So, Onisaburo in his prison cell was not a poor prisoner. He was a king of the void. He understood that because his cup was finally, truly empty, he could fill it with whatever he chose. He wasn't bound by the past anymore. He wasn't bound by the future. He was resting in the eternal, now, the 0-point field where energy is infinite. Now, look at yourself. You are standing at the entrance of 2026. Perhaps 2025 has stripped you bare. Perhaps you feel like that prisoner in the cell. I have lost my way. I feel empty inside. I don't know who I am anymore. Good. Celebrate that emptiness. Because a full cup cannot accept new tea. If your life is still cluttered with the old pride, old grudges, old habits, the universe cannot give you anything new. It tries to pour a miracle into your life, but it spills over the sides because you are already full of, well, let's call it junk. The year 2026 is asking you to be brave enough to be empty. It is asking you to embrace the state of 0. This is the cessation of suffering or metsu. Suffering exists because we cling to things. We cling to the number 1, or 10, or 100. We say, if I lose this, I am nothing. But when you voluntarily return to 0, you realize that you cannot lose anything, because you are everything. Imagine a cup. A cup is useful not because of the clay it is made of. It is useful because of the empty space inside it. Your value in 2026 will not come from what you hold. It will come from your capacity to receive. The emptier you are, the more the universe can flow through you. This is the secret that Onisaburo discovered in the dark. He realized that the government could take his land, his money, and his shrines. But they could not touch his 0. In fact, by taking everything else, they only made his 0 stronger. They accidentally polished him into a perfect vessel. So, do not panic if you feel a sense of loss right now. Do not panic if you don't have a plan for next year. Having no plan is a plan. It means you are open. It means you are listening. It means you are waiting for the divine inspiration that only comes in the silence. The 0 point is not a dead end. It is a launch pad. When a jumper wants to leap high, what do? They crouch down. They lower themselves. They condense their energy. That crouch is the 0. 2026 is the year of the crouch. And trust me, the leap that comes after this is going to be spectacular. But knowing this concept is not enough. We cannot just sit in a prison cell and philosophize. We live in the real world. We have bills to pay. We have dishes to wash. How do we practice 0 in our daily lives? How do we actively empty our cups so that we can receive the new wine? Onisaburo didn't just think about it, he practiced it. And he left us specific instructions. A way to turn this philosophy into action. Are you ready to roll up your sleeves? Because the next step involves some cleaning. Let us move from the prison of the mind to the freedom of action. Chapter 7: The Art of Letting Go. We have spoken about the philosophy of zero. We have spoken about the spiritual power of emptiness. But philosophy alone does not change reality. You cannot just think your way into a new life, you must act your way into it. So, how do we actually return to zero? How do we physically and mentally empty the cup that is overflowing with the dust of 2025? In the Shinto tradition that Onisaburo rooted his teachings in, there is a concept called Misogi. Most people think Misogi means standing under a freezing waterfall in a white robe. And yes, that is one form of it. But the true meaning of Misogi is scrubbing the soul. It is the active, intentional removal of impurities. Onisaburo taught that without Misogi, no amount of prayer or meditation will work. Imagine trying to paint a masterpiece on a canvas that is covered in mud. It doesn't matter how expensive your paint is. It doesn't matter how talented you are. The result will be a muddy mess. You must scrape the canvas clean first. So, here is your mission for the days leading up to 2026. This is the path, or do to your rebirth. It consists of 3 specific acts of letting go. First, the Misogi of space. Look around you right now. Look at your desk. Look at your closet. Look at the corners of your room. What do you see? Do you see piles of papers you haven't touched in months? Do you see clothes you haven't worn in 2 years? Do you see broken objects you promised to fix but never did? Listen to me carefully. These are not just objects. They are anchors. Every single item in your house holds energy. And unused, broken, or cluttered items hold stagnant energy. They are physical manifestations of your procrastination, your guilt, and your attachment to the past. They are silently screaming at you, draining your mental battery every time you look at them. Onisaburo was ruthless about cleanliness. He understood that the environment dictates the spirit. If you want 2026 to be different, you must physically make room for it. I want you to take a garbage bag. Not tomorrow. Today. Walk through your house like a storm of purification. If it doesn't spark joy, if it doesn't serve a purpose, if it belongs to the old you, throw it out. Don't think, oh, I might need this someday. That thought is the dust of fear speaking. Trust that the universe will provide what you need when you need it. Empty the drawer. Clear the shelf. When you throw out the physical trash, you will feel a literal weight lift off your shoulders. You are telling the universe, I am making space. Come in. Second, the Misogi of relationships. This is harder. This hurts more, but it is critical. Human relationships have expiration dates. We change, people change, and sometimes, the people who were perfect for your journey in 2020 are the very heavyweights holding you back in 2026. I am not telling you to be cruel. I am not telling you to start fights. I am telling you to be honest. Who are the people who drain your energy? Who are the people you only see out of obligation? Who are the people who make you feel small? You know their names. They just popped into your head. In the world of zero, you cannot carry dead weight. You don't have to make a dramatic announcement. You can just let go. Stop chasing. Stop texting back immediately out of guilt. Let the connection fade naturally. This is not coldness, it is self-respect. By releasing them, you are also setting them free to find people who align with their current vibration. You are creating a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. The moment you let go of a toxic relationship, a healthy one starts moving toward you. Third, the Misogi of habits. What is the one thing you did in 2025 that you swore you would stop? Maybe it's scrolling through social media until 2 a.m. Maybe it's eating when you aren't hungry. Maybe it's complaining. Onisaburo warned us about the power of Kotodama, the spirit of words, which we will discuss later. But he also warned about the spirit of action. Bad habits are like rust on a sword. They dull your edge. You cannot bring 2025's rust into 2026's battle. Choose one habit. Just one. Don't try to fix your whole life overnight, you will fail. Pick the one habit that makes you feel the most ashamed. and declare war on it. Write it down on a piece of paper. I release the habit of blank. And then, burn the paper. Watch it turn to ash. This is a psychological ritual, a signal to your brain that the contract is terminated. My friends, 2026 is coming whether you are ready or not. It is a high-speed train. You cannot board a high-speed train carrying 10 suitcases of garbage. You have to travel light. The act of throwing away, of saying goodbye, of scrubbing the floor. It feels scary because it feels like loss. But remember the lesson of the dynamite. If you don't do it voluntarily, the universe might do it for you violently. Wouldn't you rather be the one holding the broom than the one buried under the rubble? Start cleaning. Start deleting. Start saying goodbye. Because the cleaner your vessel is, the sweeter the water will taste when the rain finally comes. And believe me, the rain is coming. But once the vessel is clean, what do we do with it? We don't just leave it empty forever. We are creators. It is time to fill that empty space with something that has never existed before. It is time to create. Chapter 8: Creation from Nothing. So, you have cleaned your room. You have thrown out the emotional trash. You have cut the cords that were draining your life. Now, you are standing in the middle of a beautiful, empty space. The silence is profound. The canvas is blank. It feels peaceful, doesn't it? But let me warn you, peace is not the final destination. Peace is just the platform. If you stay in the empty room forever, you don't have a life, you have a void. The universe hates a vacuum. If you don't fill that space with something intentional, the dust will settle again. So, what do we do with this emptiness? We ignite it. Let us look at the final, glorious chapter of Onisaburo Deguchi's life. After the war ended in 1945, he was a free man. He was in his mid-70s. He had spent years in prison. His organization had been crushed twice. His body was tired. Most men his age would have retired. They would have sat on a porch, drinking tea, reminiscing about the good old days, or complaining about the government. But Onisaburo, he did something that confused everyone. He didn't start a new political party. He didn't write a manifesto of revenge. He started making tea bowls. But he didn't just make some pottery. He attacked the clay like a man possessed by the spirit of creation itself. In the span of just over 1 year, he created more than 3,000 tea bowls. Imagine that number. That is nearly 10 bowls a day, every single day, without rest. These were not delicate, polite, traditional bowls. They were explosions of color. Vivid reds, deep blues, emerald greens. He used his fingers to gouge the clay. He slapped it. He molded it with a raw, primal energy. He punched holes in them intentionally to create a unique sound when the water was poured. He named them Yawan, the star bowls. Why? Why did this spiritual giant spend his final days covered in mud and paint? Because he knew the ultimate secret of the universe. Creation is the highest form of prayer. He famously said, "Art is the mother of religion." He believed that when a human being creates something from nothing, they are mimicking the creator of the universe. They are tapping into the zero-point field and pulling out a new reality. When he was making those bowls, he wasn't thinking. He wasn't planning. He wasn't worrying, will people like this? Is this symmetrical? Is this valuable? No. He was in a trance of pure expression. He was channeling the joy of existence directly into the physical world. And because he didn't care about the rules, those bowls became masterpieces. Today, they are considered priceless treasures, not because they are perfect, but because they are alive. This is your challenge for 2026. You must become a creator. I am not asking you to buy a kiln and start making pottery unless you want to. But you must create something. For too long, you have been a consumer. You consume food. You consume Netflix. You consume news. You consume other people's opinions. Consumption is passive. It fills you with other people's energy. Creation is active. It fills the world with your energy. But I'm not an artist, you say. I don't have talent, you whisper. That is the dust talking again. Creation is not about hanging a painting in a museum. Cooking a new meal is creation. Planting a garden is creation. Starting a small business is creation. Writing a diary is creation. Even rearranging your furniture is an act of creation. It is the act of imposing your will, your vision, and your love onto the chaotic material world. Look at the empty space you made in Chapter 7. What are you going to put there? If you cleared your schedule of toxic relationships, fill that time with a hobby you loved as a child. If you cleared your mind of anxiety, fill that headspace with learning a new language. If you cleared your house of clutter, buy one beautiful flower and put it in the center of the room. Do not aim for perfection. Perfection is the enemy of zero. Perfection belongs to the old world of rigid structures. The new world of 2026 is about flow. It is about wabi-sabi, finding beauty in the rough, the unfinished, the asymmetrical. Onisaburo's bowls are bumpy, they are uneven, and that is why they vibrate with power. Your life in 2026 should be like a yawan bowl. Colorful, authentic, a little bit messy, and completely, unapologetically you. The energy of 2026 is wild. It wants to be used. If you don't channel it into creation, it will turn into anxiety. Unused creative energy turns sour. It becomes frustration. It becomes anger. So, let it out. Sing in the shower. Dance in your kitchen. Write bad poetry. Who cares? The universe doesn't judge the quality of your art, it judges the sincerity of your heart. When you create, you step out of time. You forget your worries. You forget your past. You are just there, with your hands in the clay, or your fingers on the keyboard. That state of flow, that is the voice of God speaking through you. That is the state of zero. You have survived the dynamite. You have cleaned the dust. Now, you have the clay in your hands. The wheel is spinning. 2026 is the clay. What are you going to mold it into? A tragedy? A comedy? A romance? Or a masterpiece of adventure? The choice is yours. The power is in your hands. But wait, to create a new reality, you need more than just hands. You need a tool that is even more powerful than clay. You need the tool that shapes the invisible fabric of the universe. You need the spirit of words. Onisaburo didn't just shape clay, he shaped reality with his voice. And in the next chapter, I am going to teach you how to cast spells, real spells, using nothing but your own tongue. Are you ready to speak your future into existence? Chapter 9: The Spirit of Words. We have cleaned the vessel. We have started to create with our hands. But there is one final tool in your arsenal that is more precise than a scalpel and more powerful than dynamite. It is something you use every single day, often without thinking. It is your voice. In the Japanese spiritual tradition, there is a concept called Kotodama. Literally translated, it means word spirit. It is the belief that words are not just empty sounds used for communication. They are living energy fields. They are vibrations that physically alter the structure of reality. When you speak, you are not describing the world, you are manufacturing it. Let us go back to 1921, right after Onisaburo was released on bail from the first government crackdown. He had lost his organization. He was under surveillance. The logical thing to do would be to stay silent. But instead, he did something that defies human comprehension. He sat down in a room in Ayabe, gathered a few scribes, and began to speak. He didn't have notes. He didn't have an outline. He didn't have a reference library. He just opened his mouth and let the universe flow out. He began to dictate the Reikai Monogatari, the tales of the spirit world. This was not a short pamphlet. It became a saga of 81 volumes. Witnesses say the scene was supernatural. Onisaburo would lie on his side or sit comfortably, and the words would pour out of him like a raging river. He spoke faster than the scribes could write. He would act out the characters, changing his voice for gods, demons, and humans. He dictated poems, complex theology, and epic adventures without pausing to think. If a scribe asked him to repeat a sentence, he would get annoyed and say, "I cannot repeat it. The stream has already passed." He wasn't thinking of the words. He was capturing the vibration of the zero-point field and translating it into sound. He understood that by speaking this story into existence, he was rebuilding the spiritual foundation of his movement, and perhaps the world, stronger than any physical temple could ever be. He was using Kotodama to overwrite the reality of his suppression. The government tried to silence him with laws, so he drowned them out with stories. Now, look at yourself. How are you using your Kotodama? Be honest with me. What are the phrases that leave your mouth most often? I'm tired. I'm broke. This is impossible. I'm too old. Nothing ever works out for me. Do you realize what you are doing? You are casting black magic spells on your own life. Every time you say, I am tired, your cells hear you and say, okay, let's shut down the energy production. Every time you say, I have no money, the universe hears you and says, understood. Let's block all financial opportunities to keep that statement true. You are the author of your own misfortune. You are using the divine power of creation to build a prison cell. Onisaburo taught that the universe is a giant echo chamber. If you shout, fool, into a canyon, the canyon shouts, fool, back at you. Life is the canyon. If 2025 was a hard year for you, I am willing to bet that your language was filled with words of struggle, fear, and complaint. And those words acted like magnets, pulling more struggle toward you. But here is the good news. If words can curse, they can also cure. If you can talk yourself into depression, you can talk yourself into power. This is the most practical, immediate way to harness the energy of 2026. You must change your script. I am not talking about toxic positivity, where you lie to yourself and say everything is perfect when your house is burning down. I am talking about intentional speech. I am talking about speaking the reality you choose to create, not just describing the reality you currently see. Here is a challenge for you. In the first month of 2026, in January, I want you to go on a complaint fast. For 30 days, you are forbidden from complaining. You are forbidden from speaking negatively about yourself. If you catch yourself saying, I'm such an idiot, you must immediately stop, apologize to yourself, and say, no, I am learning and growing. If you catch yourself saying, I can't afford that, change it to, how can I create the value to acquire that? Feel the difference? The first phrase closes the door. The second phrase opens it. Kotodama is about opening doors. And I want you to have a power phrase for 2026. Onisaburo often used simple, powerful prayers. You don't need to be religious to do this. Find a phrase that resonates with your soul. Maybe it is, everything happens for my greatest good. Maybe it is, I am infinite possibility. Maybe it is simply, thank you. Thank you is the strongest Kotodama of all. It is the vibration of gratitude. And gratitude is the frequency of reception. When you say, thank you, before you receive the miracle, you are tricking time. You are telling the universe that the miracle has already happened. And the universe, which loves to agree with you, rushes to make it true. Imagine waking up on the first morning of 2026. The air is cold and crisp. Before you check your phone, before you drink your coffee, before you worry about your schedule, open your mouth and speak your power phrase into the silence. Let that vibration be the first ripple in the pond of the new year. I am ready to receive. I am open to the new. Thank you for this life. Can you feel the shift? That is the power of zero. You are starting from nothing, and with a single sound, you are setting the trajectory for the next 365 days. Onisaburo wrote 81 volumes because he never stopped the flow. You are writing the volume of 2026. Make sure the words you choose are the ones you want to read. But there is one final piece to this puzzle. We have the mindset. We have the actions. We have the words. But where are we actually going? What is the vision of this new world that we are building? Onisaburo didn't just predict doom, he predicted a golden age. He called it Moroku no Yo, the world of Maitreya, the future Buddha. A world where the struggle ends and true harmony begins. And guess what? You don't have to wait for the distant future to live in it. You can step into it right now. Let us conclude our journey by looking at the beautiful sunrise of the new era. Chapter 10: The New Dawn. We have reached the final steps of our journey. You have seen the destruction. You have felt the silence. You have cleaned your house, ignited your creativity, and rewritten your language. Now, only one question remains. Where are we going? What does the world look like after the zero? In Onisaburo's prophecy, he spoke of a coming era called Moroku no Yo. This translates to the world of Maitreya, or the age of the future Buddha. It is a vision of a world where conflict ends, where humanity lives in harmony with nature, and where the spiritual and material worlds are perfectly united. It sounds like a utopia, doesn't it? It sounds like a dream that is too good to be true, especially when you look at the news today. But Onisaburo taught that this world is not a distant place we travel to in a spaceship. It is a frequency we tune into right here, right now. To understand how to enter this new world in 2026, we must look at how Onisaburo acted when the war finally ended. The year was 1945. Japan lay in ruins. The cities were burned. The military government that had persecuted him was destroyed. Onisaburo was finally fully exonerated. His lawyers came to him with a proposal. They said, "Master, we should sue the government. They destroyed our shrines. They stole our land. They imprisoned you for years. We can demand compensation for the damages." Legally, he was right. Morally, he was justified. He could have demanded millions. He could have sought revenge against the officials who tortured his followers. But Onisaburo looked at them and shook his head. He said words that shocked everyone. "I do not want a single penny." He continued, "This persecution was God's providence. It was necessary to clean us. If we take money from the impoverished people of this defeated nation, we are no better than bandits. We will start from scratch. We will start from zero." Do you understand the magnitude of this? This is the final test of the zero state. Forgiveness. You cannot enter the new era if you are still dragging the corpse of the old era behind you. If Onisaburo had sued the government, he would have been tied to the past forever. He would have been a victim. But by forgiving them, by thanking the universe for the cleaning, he became a victor. He cut the final chain. As you stand on the threshold of 2026, look back at 2025 one last time. Look at the boss who fired you. Look at the partner who betrayed you. Look at the economy that failed you. Do you still feel anger? Do you still feel a desire for revenge? I'll show them. I'll make them regret it. As long as you hold that thought, you are not free. You are still in the prison cell, holding the key but refusing to turn it. To enter the Moroku no Yo, you must offer total forgiveness to 2025. You must say, "Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the cleaning. I release you." When you do this, you become lighter than air. You become a citizen of the new world. So, what will your 2026 look like? I want you to close your eyes for a moment. I want you to visualize the version of you that exists in December 2026. This future you has walked the path. They are standing tall. Their eyes are clear. They are not driven by the fear of scarcity, but by the joy of creation. They don't compete with others, because they know their unique value cannot be replicated. They are kind, not because they are weak, but because they are overflowing with strength. This is the art of living that Onisaburo spoke of. He said, "Life is art. Your life is not a struggle for survival, it is a canvas for expression." In the new world, we stop working to get things, and we start working to give things. Because we know that we are connected to the infinite source, the zero, so we can never run out. The year 2026 is the beginning of a new civilization, starting with you. The world changes one person at a time. When you change your frequency, you change your family. When your family changes, your community changes. It ripples out. You are the lighthouse. You don't have to run around trying to save the ships. You just have to stand on your rock, keep your glass clean, and shine your light. The ships will find their way because of you. Onisaburo's life was a storm of epic proportions. He was a miner, a mystic, a prisoner, a warrior, an artist, and a prophet. But in the end, he was just a man who loved the universe and trusted it completely. He showed us that you can lose everything and still win. He showed us that the darkest night is just the preparation for the brightest dawn. The sun is rising now. Can you feel it? The shadows of 2025 are retreating. The golden light of the new year is touching your face. You are not the same person who started watching this video. You are awake. You are prepared. You are empty, and therefore, you are infinite. Do not be afraid of the unknown. The unknown is just a friend you haven't met yet. Step forward. The ground will appear beneath your feet. The gate to the new world is open. And it has been waiting for you all along. Ending the gate opens. The gate is now open. 2026 is both the end of the old world and the beginning of the new. Do not fear the void, for it is the womb of creation. I have shown you the path. Reflect with honesty, untangle the knots in your heart, clean your vessel, and speak your truth. The choice is now yours. Will you repeat the shadows of the past, or will you step into the infinite light of zero? Believe in your power to change. You are not a victim of the times, you are the creator of them. The universe loves you and is waiting for your first step. Go forth, my friends. Paint your masterpiece on this blank canvas. Your miracle has already begun. Thank you for walking this path with me. I will see you in the new world. Summary: the gate opens. The gate is now open. 2026 is both the end of the old world and the beginning of the new. Do not fear the void, for it is the womb of creation. I have shown you the path. Reflect with honesty, untangle the knots in your heart, and embrace the silence. The choice is now yours. Will you repeat the shadows of the past, or will you step into the infinite light of zero? Believe in your power to change. The universe loves you and is waiting for your first step. Go forth, my friends, and paint your masterpiece on this blank canvas. Your miracle has already begun. Thank you for watching. Thank you.